Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. The film rotates around a man-made intelligence robot known as Daryl, which represents information dissecting robot youth living thing. Daryl is a man-made consciousness directed by Tascam, an administration association, despite the fact that he appears to be a typical 10-year-old boy on the outside. Daryl's mind capabilities is a high-level microcomputer, with noteworthy elements. These include the capacity to penetrate and manipulate other computer systems, exceptional multitasking abilities, and extraordinary reflexes. The Darrow project, funded by the military, aims to produce superior soldiers. One of the project's scientists, Drive Mulligan, becomes concerned about using Daryl for unethical purposes one day. So he chooses to free him as he takes off with Daryl, with an errand home, pursue them on a helicopter. The researcher attempts to shake off the chopper, however without progress. He pulls over and lets go of Daryl in a mountainous forest in South Carolina because he has no other option. He then endeavors to sidestep the helicopter himself, however the pursuit closes in Specialist Mulligan. He tragically perished as a result of driving his vehicle off a cliff. In the meantime, an elderly couple finds Daryl and takes him to an orphanage in the fictitious town of Barkington, South Carolina. He goes through a number of medical tests, and it turns out that he has amnesia and doesn't remember who he is. He eventually ends up in the care of Joyce and Andy Richardson, her husband. As adoptive parents, since the couple is unable to have biological children, they want to adopt. However, they must first foster a child before they can obtain permission. Although the couple is pleased to have Daryl, they quickly discover that he lacks some social skills. Certainly claims to be sexy, but Turtle maintains that his biggest Daryl is the reason. As a result, they introduce them to the Fox family that lives nearby, which includes Elaine, their naughty son, Turtle, and their daughter, Sherry. Turtle meets Daryl and spends time with him by the lake in the following scene. The first makes fun of Daryl's inability to recall anything else about himself while recalling things like his name and reading abilities. Daryl says that he has been told he has amnesia. He hopes that his biological parents will one day come and take him into their care. After that, Turtle takes him home, where they play the game, Pole Position, on the computer of Sherry. Daryl becomes interested with the game, and he performs at a speed and level past human capacity. He also starts to notice human habits and behaviors, much to everyone's surprise, and he can't seem to figure out why Turtle always makes fun of his sister. Daryl attends school for the first time the following day and succeeds in praising the instructor for his exceptional academic abilities. Andy later teaches baseball. Oh, I'm sorry. My error. However, Daryl amazes him with his inherent baseball abilities. This fulfills Andy. And because he can finally picture Bull Mackenzie's Warriors baseball team defeating his rival, he makes Daryl vow not to enlighten anybody concerning his extraordinary baseball abilities, stressed that champion mentor Bull Mackenzie would attempt to figure out how to prevent him from playing. However, the child robot is unfamiliar with the idea of keeping secrets. He then quickly heads to his foster mother to tell her about his game. Daryl also begins to learn about male attraction to females, despite his inability to comprehend it. He believes that all knowledge is good because it is learning. Andy and Daryl attempt to withdraw money from an ATM one day, but the machine displays insufficient funds due to a computer glitch at the bank. Daryl then, at that point, assumes control over the matter, and adjusts the blunder. Yes, he also manipulates the computer to show Andy's account $1.4 million without Andy's knowledge. A short time later, Daryl and Andy go to class to get ready for the ball game. At home, Joyce is conversing with her companions and she concedes feeling undesirable as a mother on the grounds that Daryl is a particularly wonderful youngster. Additionally, he does everything on his own. He polishes his shoes, makes his bed, and irons his own clothes. She asserts that he is a superior parent to her. The conversation is overheard by a turtle. Later, Joyce and his mother drive him to school. The rival team and Andy's team begin the baseball game. Bull Mackenzie lit the Warriors. The Mohawks were trailing at first, but Daryl took over and quickly turned the game around, to everyone's satisfaction. However, this makes Joyce feel even less wanted. Daryl picks it up during the break and talks to Turtle about it. The last option makes sense of that grown-up people are convoluted. According to him, they enjoy the sensation that they are making progress with you. As a result, you must occasionally make mistakes. Therefore, the adults believe that you are gaining knowledge. Daryl is advised to leave his room by Turtle. Untidy in some cases so Joyce can tidy up after him. Daryl deliberately gets out of the game by missing all 3 strikes after the break. The Turtle is shocked. Additionally, he informs him that he does not have to lose the entire game. In any case, Daryl lets him know that the game isn't a higher priority than Joyce. Additionally, he insults Andy and declares that he no longer cares about the game. Joyce is taken aback by his behavior as she watches it happen. However, she approaches him to talk to him and politely explains that it is acceptable to make mistakes. However, he should not speak to his loved ones in that manner. Daryl finally realizes the error after hearing this, and the two of them embrace. In the meantime, Turtle steps in and takes over for Daryl as the cleanup hitter. He successfully hits a home run, sealing victory for his team, surprising everyone. Causing everyone a deep sense of delight. However, just as the Richardsons form a real connection with Daryl and experience a new sense of happiness, one day their joy is abruptly shattered. Daryl's biological parents, according to a social worker who arrives, have been discovered by the government. They are demoralized, but they decide to work together and let Daryl see his parents again. The robot boy insists on living with Joyce and Andy for the rest of his life because it is obvious that he has developed an attachment to them. Andy, on the other hand, tells him that he needs to go with his actual parents because they miss him and have been looking for him for months. The following morning Ellen and Jeffrey, Daryl's parents, showed up to take him home. Turtle is so distressed about the circumstance that he can't force himself to say goodbye to Daryl. Sooner or later, the Guardians drive him directly to an air terminal and they load up a personal luxury plane to fly back home. However, it is later revealed that Ellen and Jeffrey have actually been hired by scientists to take Daryl back to the Washington research facility by pretending to be his parents. On the aircraft. While Jeffrey talks about his escape, Daryl talks to the pilot to keep himself occupied. Dr. Jeffrey claims that it was the best thing Dr. Mulligan could have done to help Tess and Daryl by kidnapping Daryl. In reality with genuine individuals. At the office, Daryl goes through a debriefing about the valuable lessons he learned while he was with the Richardsons and has his memory restored. In the debriefing, significant events are brought to light, such as his deliberate decision to strike out during the baseball game. This demonstrates that he is aware of the fact that sacrificing one thing can sometimes result in the acquisition of another in return. It is also mentioned that Daryl has a personal preference for chocolate-flavored ice cream over vanilla-flavored ice cream. Jeffrey is astonished by the revelation because it leads him to believe that Daryl can experience human emotions. Nonetheless, Ellen is as yet not persuaded. Jeffrey decides to conduct biochemical tests as a result. They begin the test by placing him in a room full of doctors. However, Daryl asserts that he is afraid, an emotion that a machine cannot feel. In the following scene, Specialist Jeffrey reports the discoveries to the tactical officers in the Pentagon. The disclosure of Daryl's ability for human feelings. The military concludes that the Daryl experiment was a failure due to factors like fear. Dr. Jeffrey is surprised by this because he believes that Dr. Mulligan's actions have given them a better understanding of Daryl. However, the generals decide to end the project because they believe that a robot like Daryl will be of no use to the army. Dr. Jeffrey is also given the Army's order to create an adult Daryl who is programmed to learn everything the Army teaches, including how to be fearless, technical, and devastating. After that, Dr. Jeffrey goes to Daryl to break the bad news. However, he has developed an attachment to him as a result of his prolonged treatment. He lacks the bravery to inform him that his employment will be terminated. Daryl then utilizes the potential chance to demand Drive Jeffrey to let the Richardsons and his companion Turtle visit him. Surprisingly, Drive Jeffrey is in agreement because he believes they ought to meet him one more time before he is destroyed. Joyce, Andy Turtle, and his father make their way to Taze.com quickly. Dr. Jeffrey invites them to the office and comes clean with them about Daryl. They can't believe it, much to their surprise. However, when Dr. Jeffrey displays some of Daryl's ultra-human characteristics, they are astonished. Specialist Jeffrey further makes sense of that the specialists at the public authority shelter couldn't see that Daryl was a robot on the grounds that the mechanical piece of him is just held back in his skull. After that, Daryl finally sees his family and warmly embraces them. Dr. Jeffrey is moved so much by this that he makes the difficult decision to free him forever. Dr. Jeffrey devises a strategy to smuggle Daryl out of the facility after sending the family home. Dr. Ellen, on the other hand, discovers his plans and informs the military chief. The last option rapidly shows up at the clinic and orders drive Jeffrey to annihilate Daryl with Dr. Ellen. The poor scientist does as he is told. After that, the army chief makes sure that Daryl has been let go, and Dr. Jeffrey leaves the facility in a rage. However, in a significant change of circumstances, the robot boy is still alive, it turns out. Dr. Jeffrey managed to persuade Drive Ellen to spare Daryl's life in some way. He also managed to sneak him out of the facility. However, the doctor's strategy is quickly revealed. An intense car chase then ensues. They were able to get away from the police cars. Yet, when Dr. Jeffrey supports a deadly discharge wound, as Dr. Jeffrey passes away in his arms, Daryl breaks down in tears. He has begun to behave like a real human at this point. In the following scene, Daryl advances toward a tactical air terminal and figures out how to take a contender stream when he flies towards his home close to this line. The military takes steps to explode him mid-air on the off chance that he doesn't land in 5 minutes or less. Destroyed. Make a U-turn. That time, nonetheless, Daryl won't change. He also parachute ejects from the plane just before the countdown ends and lands close to the lake from earlier in the movie. He doesn't know how to swim, so he ends up falling into the lake and drowning. Maybe all trust is lost and our hero will kick the bucket. But at that time, Turtle pulls his friend out of the lake with heroism. After that, Daryl is rushed to the hospital. However, the doctors have sadly declared Daryl dead. Turtle is destroyed by this. Also, he separates in tears. However, because he is a robot, he denies that Daryl can die. Daryl's brain functions like a miniature computer thanks to oxygen, which can't pass on when you bite the dust, it implies mind. Turtle is correct. In addition, in order to bring Daryl back to life, the Richardsons secretly search for Dr. Ellen. Final result. The robot boy finally sees his family, and he hugs them happily. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.